The Mario Kart series is one of the most popular video game franchises in all of space and time, and if you ask my candy ass, I think Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is not only the best game in the entire series, but one of the best games ever, period. Yeah, that's right, I went there. What do you want to fight about it? Not that I do. I was just wondering if you did. But whether Mario Kart 8's your favorite, or you prefer another game in the franchise like Double Dash or Waterworld on VHS, one thing that's almost for certain is that Mario Kart 9's gonna be even better. But even if that's 100% guaranteed to end up being true, I don't think the Nintendo Switch should get a new Mario Kart game anytime soon, if ever at all. My name's Cameron, and I'll tell you why Nintendo should stick with Mario Kart 8 on the Nintendo Switch versus making Mario Kart 9. I'm sure the main thing most people are thinking right now is, why the fuck would this turkey ass not want Mario Kart 9 on the Nintendo Switch? But bear with me for a little bit, I'm just saying it'd be better to give the series a rest for a little while. As I've said, I'd bet my left ass that whenever we inevitably get the next Mario Kart game that it's gonna be even better than 8. And beyond that, it's also 100% guaranteed to make Nintendo hundreds upon hundreds of dollars. Especially if they pull the trigger on integrating more outside IPs into the franchise. Cause Pokemon and Metroid courses alone are gonna be more than enough to make anybody soil their tennis instructor's pants. And not only that, but think about all the items and funny-looking carts we'll get out of it as well. And I really don't know what else they could do to make 9 even better than 8 if they don't give the series the mouth-to-butt resuscitation that adding more IPs could do. I would talk more about that now, but I already made a video going into more detail on that topic that I'll put in the end slate and description. But regardless of whether or not Nintendo decides to incorporate more outside franchises into the Mario Kart series, though, I'm sure MK9's still gonna surpass 8 somehow and likely become the new best game in the franchise, thus becoming one of the best games ever made. At least for me, anyway. Because even though I loved Mario Kart 7 and thought it could never be topped, MK8 came along and peed directly into 7's mac and cheese, thus taking its title for best Mario Kart game in the process. So trust me when I say that I'm excited as all hell for Mario Kart 9. I just don't want it anytime soon, and probably not until Nintendo's next console, maybe even as a solid launch game. Cause even though Nintendo's president Mickey Yanai stated he wants the Switch to last 10 years, we all know that's not gonna happen. At least not as Nintendo's main focus as the statement implies anyway. But whether or not the Switch will live that long is a whole separate can of worms altogether. Either way though, I don't think now's the time for Nintendo to break their one Mario Kart game per console tradition, because despite there being so many pros to having Mario Kart 9 on the Switch, there's enough cons that come along with it that I honestly think outweigh the pros. Which is saying a lot considering I think Mario Kart 9 is going to be one of my favorite games ever made, but just hear me out. I'm not saying time and patience is going to make the next Mario Kart game even better than it could be per se, but as awesome as Mario Kart 9 would be even if it was released in the near future, it's really not going to add a whole lot of variety to the Switch's lineup or make it a stronger console. Because it wouldn't be a case of the Switch having 2 awesome Mario Kart games, it'd just mean that the Switch has 1 awesome Mario Kart game and another that's obsolete. Besides, after Nintendo burned the Wii U owners who bought the original Mario Kart 8, the last thing N-Dog needs to do is to burn those same people again by rendering 8 Deluxe obsolete so soon after releasing it. Because even though Mario Kart 7's an amazing game in its own right, nobody really plays that anymore now that 8's the current game, outside of the 1 or 2 inevitable comments this video is gonna get from people who lie and tell me they actually do. And as soon as 9 comes out, the fanbase is gonna abandon 8 as well. So there really is no good reason to rush the inevitable 9th game since everybody's still having fun with it, as made evident during our world-famous live streams on most Friday and Saturday nights, where we play with anybody and everybody in the live chat. And seeing as how nobody bought a Wii U, 8's still new to most people. And I'm glad the game's finally getting its time in the spotlight, what with it genuinely being my favorite entry in the series. Like I said though, I'm sure Mario Kart 9 would sell like crazy on the Switch, and it is likely that Nintendo will end up making it since they're fond of money. But Mario Kart 8's gonna continue to sell well as long as Mario Kart 9 doesn't come along to push it off its bike. So even from a money standpoint, it might actually be better for Nintendo to ride MK8 out, or milk it if you want to be a ween about it. Cause similarly to FIFA 13, nobody's gonna want to buy the old Mario Kart game even if it is cheaper. Plus, there's a lot that's still missing from the little hybrid that could right now that I wish Nintendo would make more of a priority to get out there, instead of giving us another game that's essentially just an upgrade of one we already have. I mean, why not have the developers of the Mario Kart team work on a new IP, or a neglected franchise like a proper Starfox game? Or since the studio that makes Mario Kart's never made much else besides Nintendogs and DSi sound, why not finally give everybody a new F-Zero game? I know the whole point I'm trying to make is that the Switch needs more variety and that F-Zero's a racing game, but don't be a dick. F-Zero's a completely different kind of racing game than Mario Kart. However, it's similar enough to where the team wouldn't be taking as big a risk in trying something new. After all, when I finally learned how to swim, I didn't just jump into the deep end of my neighbor Terry's bathtub before I dived in head first into the shallow end. Even though I hate to admit that a new F-Zero game would almost certainly not sell as well as Mario Kart 9, and honestly might not even be as fun if we're looking at it subjectively, it'd still not only give the Switch more variety, but also please the fans. And sometimes not doing things games that can make more money in the short term can go a lot further. And I'm not sure what would win in a poll, but if you're watching this video and are getting mad at me for suggesting it'd be better to wait for Mario Kart 9, then you can't complain that Nintendo's neglecting franchises like F-Zero, Starfox, or the critically acclaimed Steel Diver. But even if Mario Kart 8 gets stale in the next 5 years or so, there's still always the option for more DLC. I prefer sequels over DLC 9 times out of 10.5 for the sake of the content being immortalized via physical media, but if losing an ass-era bonus content means a revival of a neglected Nintendo franchise, then so be it. And I'm not saying one more Mario Kart game on the Switch would make the series like Madden, but these aren't the kinds of games where each entry is all that different from the last, outside of adding and deleting a few courses and races either. Nintendo just takes much bigger breaks in between so you could actually notice the improvements. And on top of giving Nintendo an opportunity to revive a neglected franchise, holding off on Mario Kart 9 would also build anticipation and make it that much more special when it finally comes out. Besides, I'm sure the boys and girls from the Mario Kart team would probably come up with other ideas for MK9 while they were working on a separate game, or even when they're driving home from work or paying their egg taxes between now and Nintendo's next console. And if nothing I say makes any sense, then let me put it more simply, yet somehow more complicated at the same time. Let's say Mario Kart 8's level of quality is 9,000. Even if Mario Kart 9's quality ends up being 10,000, it's not going to mean the overall quality level added to the Switch would be 19,000. It would just be 10,000 since Mario Kart 8's 9,000 would be rendered obsolete, whereas Nintendo leaving Mario Kart 8 alone and instead using the manpower to make something entirely new would add more variety and overall value to the Switch, even if whatever else they end up making only had a quality level of 5,000. Because in addition to Mario Kart 8, the overall added quality to the Switch would be 14,000.
The numbers don't lie!
Anyway, what do you think, though? Do you want Mario Kart 9 on the Nintendo Switch, or would you rather Nintendo use the manpower to give us something new? Let me know what you think in the comments below, and as always, I'll pin whatever I find most entertaining or intriguing. Don't forget to like and share this video if you want to help this channel grow. Consider supporting us on Patreon for as low as $1 a month to get a thank you in the end slates, among other rewards. And if you're a person of whom many feel great affinity towards, then go ahead and press the subscribe button to prove it if you haven't already. My name's Cameron, and I'll see you next time.
So I want to say thank you to your loyalty, thank you for your support.